What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing tonight? I know it's a little late, but doing a lot of family stuff today, work, all that good stuff. Today's topic: who am I making the content for? Who am I making the podcast for? Who am I trying to reach? Let's talk about it today. I have some visual for you to kind of think about. So, who am I trying to reach? Let's look into the graph right here. I am trying to reach that person that I can relate to how I was when I was younger, going into my late 20s. This is something that I thought about when I was growing up. The prism or the spectrum of people that you come into contact with, right? There's the athlete that's good enough, has the skills to possibly get a scholarship. Then there's the minimum. You're just trying to do something to keep from doing nothing, the bare minimum. Then there's work a job, starting to maintain working a job, not requiring specialized skills. So these are just entry level jobs that you work just to try to make money, just trying to, because you're not figuring out life yet. You're just trying to keep from doing the minimum. So you try to go a little bit above it. Then you have the college and trade where you specialize in a skill in demand based on the area where you live. That's very important based on the area where you live. Then there's the streets. Circumstances. So this circumstances most of the time, so about 51% of the time can cause the choice of the streets. Extreme circumstances or just financial circumstances and the streets, the lure of street money, the lure of street reputation gets the best of some people. Now, the person that I'm trying to reach is in the middle, the minimum, work a job, college and trade. That three in the middle. That's where I kind of fell into. I didn't choose the streets, even though I have the height, but I didn't have what it took to be an athlete to get a scholarship. So I fell into these three. I started out probably doing the minimum, just doing what I need to do to get by. And then when I graduated, I started to work jobs where you start to work 2 or 3 years, saying here and there between jobs. Then when I finally got some sense enough of who I was and what I was doing, that's when I started to go to college and get that specialize in IT. I'm trying to reach the kids in this area, in that middle area, because not there are, in my opinion, there are a lot more kids in that minimum worker job to college range than it is streets and athletes. Why do I say this? Growing up, when I went to high school, and I didn't live in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. I'm just being honest. Southwest Little Rock. A lot of the kids, even though it's unpopular opinion, a lot of the kids who were deemed successful in the streets, it wasn't a lot. It probably was maybe 2 or 3% of people that were good in the street activity. And then what I learned is when you're that good, there's only one or two ways at the end of that, or maybe three. Number one way is jail, street time, because the feds gonna come get you when you're that good, because your reputation precedes you. That's number one. Number two is death, because people will betray you. They want what you have. That's just part of the streets. And you always have to keep your head on a swivel. Number three is uh, you get out of jail or the street game get the it takes its toll and you have to stop. And all of those things you worked to maintain and happen over time, it fades and the next generation comes in. And it's almost like you never existed. That happens too. It's almost like there is no Hall of Fame for the streets. You people have documentaries, people make these videos, but there's no museum or Hall of Fame for people that was in the streets that actually was successful. Number one, you don't even want that because you don't want to go to jail. That's why I don't get talked about enough. And then the other end of the spectrum is athletes. In order to be an athlete and to go pro, it takes so much work and dedication. A lot of people just not gonna do. That's another 2%. They're not gonna put the work in that it takes to be that athlete that can get that scholarship, go to college, then go pro. And on the other side of that, you have to be a cyborg. Anatomically, your body has to be built like a cyborg. You don't get injured as much. You're able to adapt to your environment wherever you go and ball out. Not easy to do. A lot of people, even though they try to imagine it, but imagine if you grew up in Little Rock, that's all you knew, and then you get a scholarship to go to a whole nother place you never been to, like Louisville or Tuscaloosa, Alabama, or something like that. You never even been to these places. And then you have to go here for at least 3 years to be playing football, or at least one, maybe 1 and 2 years for basketball, and play in this place. You have to live there from day to day. No family. It's just you and your career that you're trying to further. A lot of people don't have the wherewithal to get past that level. A lot of people get to college and then the filter started to fall off some more. Who gets past college and go pro? It starts to drop. Now, a lot of kids fall into this middle three. I promise you. Think about it. You start at the minimum, you start working a job, and you debating whether you should go to college or get a trade.
Right.
There are people who have the ambition but don't have the guidance. I was one of those kids in this middle three. I had the ambition, but in the corporate world, you don't have the guidance. You don't have the mentorship. Because when you get into the corporate world, there are not a lot of people that look like you. There are not a lot of people that you could talk to, and you find yourself having to get out of your comfort zone and talk to people that's not a part of how you grew up, that's not from the area that you grew up in, and they don't do things the same way that you do things. And you have a choice at that point. Either you can learn how to play in this game, even though it's not the NBA, but it's kind of like going pro. You have to learn the rules of the league, or try to go in and do it your way, and you may not last as long. I can tell you, I tried to do it my way in this minimum to work a job stage in that orange and blue. Didn't quite work. And something that I had to do is I had to learn how to find my balance. Kind of like what WAC 100 said. I had to find my balance between growing up in Southwest versus growing up in the corporate world. Some things you can do in Southwest that you can't do in the corporate world. You have to find the balance. You have to understand that people are trying to throw you off. Kind of like Dennis Rodman. There are people that have their antics. They try to throw you off and get you off your square, but you have to find that balance. Another thing is a lot of these kids in this middle area, they grow up in the streets, but they're not street. They're not trying to be um, selling drugs. They're not trying to do robbing people. They're not trying to do none of the street activity, but you know how it goes in the street because you grew up around it. I'm in that category myself. Um, Grew up around people that was in it, learned a lot from observation. And if you can learn through observation and not have to go through it yourself, I think that's one of the best skills that you can have to avoid getting into the streets. And there are a lot of kids, you'd be surprised, that are in this middle part and they don't want no parts of the streets and they're not athletes, but they have the ambition, but they just don't have the guidance. They don't know what direction to go in. They don't even really know what's the next steps in life. You kind of got an idea, but you really don't have a feel for it. And that's what we try to talk about. We try to talk about things from a regular people perspective, how to process some of the stuff that come across or how to navigate life when you start to get into this middle area, working a job and teetering. What are you going to do next? Because you can work a job, but you're going to find out that it's going to be tough if you don't elevate your skills. You're going to be stuck in a certain bracket, salary bracket. This is just my opinion because I've been in this at this place. So let me know in the comments, where did you fall when you was a teenager or growing into your 20s? Where did you fall? I know I fell right into this blue, and I did it for years. Worked all kind of jobs until I started going to school and got in IT. Like I said, when I was in this blue phase, I was more trying to find easy work that paid enough for me to get by. So it was like I was kind of doing a hybrid of minimum and working job. And then as I started to get older, probably what, 22, 23, something like that, I started to realize that it's not enough to live as an adult. I'm talking about just basic living as an adult. And I'm working on that as well. I'm trying to make a slideshow of to kind of give you an idea of what affordability looks like as an adult. Like what does the average adult lifestyle cost? Just bills and the regular stuff, not even the extra stuff. We just talking about bills and stuff and maintaining between um paychecks and stuff like that. We're gonna talk about that here soon. I'm working on that now. But I'm trying to reach these kids because there's a lot of kids out there in this middle area and they really don't have the information on what direction to go in. Like I can tell a kid going to a trade, but if I don't give them a specific trade, how do they know what trade to go to? It's really vague. You have to be careful about vague information, especially with people that have the ambition with no guidance. Very vague. Go to college. Very vague. You have to have a specific degree path. Most people that are successful, in my opinion, they either go STEM, science, technology, education, and math, or they go finance, whether it's accounting, in banking or something like that. They specialize in something that's of value in the area where they live. Accounting, always needed. And we have to, when they graduate and they in this minimum to blue stage, you have to find, it may be challenging. You may not like it, but learn to understand that some of the best paying jobs are challenging. Easy jobs don't pay as much because it's just what it is, easy. They're not going to pay you to do something that's easy. Most of the jobs you get paid to do, they're going to challenge you in some kind of way, whether it's through time, whether it's through your your thought process, your brain resources, or a lot of manual labor. But it's going to challenge you in some way. So there are some people in this middle area that have the gifts. However, using them in the wrong direction. Use myself for an example. When I was in this orange to blue section, I would always hear people when I was at work, they used to tell me, man, you're smarter. Why won't you go to college? Man, you're intelligent. Why won't you go to college? For some reason, I wouldn't even listen to it. I don't even know why. I wish I did, but I didn't. Just being accountable. One thing I think I didn't know because I didn't read the Bible for myself, but having discernment, being able to either read the room, being able to either read a person or understand somebody without being subjective or judgmental, but understanding how to deal with that person. But I was using it in the wrong direction. How did I use that in the wrong direction? When I was started to talk to women when I was younger, I would always, I didn't even know I was doing it. I didn't even know that was even a gift from God. But discernment, it can either get you in trouble or it can get you out of trouble or it can get you in a pickle. And it using discernment the wrong way, being able to take what somebody give you and really understand what you're dealing with. It's like a weird version of psychology almost, but using those gifts the wrong way, having the gift of gab, using it the wrong way, selling dreams, using it the wrong way, being able to make somebody feel something when it ain't real. I've had when I was younger, I've had to tell I don't even know. I didn't even know you was selling me a dream to after using gifts the wrong way. And a lot of times when you're growing up in the inner city and you don't have that guidance, single parent homes, a lot of guys have to learn how to be men through trial and error. Not the best way to do it, but it's just how it is when your father is either deceased or just not around. You have to figure it out as as a man. How to be a man, and you go through a lot of trial and error. I got to thank my wife because she had to be patient with me when we first got married. A lot of things I had to learn that I didn't learn when I was younger. One of the things is communication with the woman that you see every day and to grow and build on a relationship versus when I was younger, communication was specifically for scoring touchdowns. I didn't care about growing a building. I didn't care about that because I knew I wasn't gonna be with this person for a long time. Strictly for few specific things. That's it. But what happened was when you operate in the wrong direction for so long, you have to double back to get back to reality. Though talked about this with my bros on the podcast. Is when you start talking to multiple women as a man and then you try to settle down, go cold turkey almost, you cannot expect one woman to do what three or four or however many women you talk to, multiple women did. It's impossible. It don't even make sense. But if you don't have the guidance or somebody with wisdom to tell you that, you would think that that's possible. You would think like, I'm gonna marry somebody that can do all of these things. It's almost like you a GM for a basketball team and you want them to be Michael Jordan, Kobe, and T-Mac all in one. It's not even possible. But if you're not careful, that's the kind of mindset you will have. I didn't have that kind of struggle. My struggle was talking to my wife as a man, as a leader of the house, communicating my thoughts, like being able to articulate it to where it makes sense to a woman. Sometimes as men we can articulate our thoughts to other men and we get it, but to a woman, they don't think the same way we think. They don't even look at things the same way we look at it. So being able to articulate it, and sometimes it may not come off right, it still may come off wrong, but still being able to articulate it and say, this is what my thoughts are. This is how I look at things, and this is where I'm at with it. Had to learn how to do that, and it took some time. So I'd like to thank her for being patient. Shout out to Ashley. Shout out to my kids for understanding that daddy has to go to school, because when you play around too much in this range, in that blue range, before you go to college, you lose a lot of time and ground that you got to get back. And I just thank God he allowed me to get some of that ground back. I'm starting to get it back. But I'm trying to reach the kids in this area, because if I can get them to get to the green earlier in their early 20s, they will be way more successful than a person like me. I want them to be better than me. Even if you, like me, if you get to your late 20s and 30s, there's still time to go to college or go do a trade, something that elevates your skills so you can have value in the workplace. But that's what I'm trying to reach, the people in this middle area, right? Now, if you're from the streets and you want to come back to this middle area, I get it. You can do it too. But some people are so far into the red, is they have to make their choice to come out. It's an individual choice. Athletes can do it too, but they have to make that individual choice. Some people, they make it to the college level, but they don't make it pro, and then you fall in that middle part. The good thing about an athlete is they get a scholarship to college. They kind of in the green. They actually a hybrid. They're an athlete and going to college. So it would be wise to take classes that will help you elevate if the sports don't work out. But when you're a regular kid like I was and you're in this middle range, it's just you, your time, and your choices and decisions, because most of the time you don't have the financial cushion or money to take risk, and then, oh, I got 100,000 in the savings account so I can take that risk and lose. You really don't have that. A lot of kids in this middle range, it's hard to start a business when you don't have the capital to pay for the things that you got to pay just to start. You got to think right now, 2025 November, probably to start a business, you may need almost $10,000 to $20,000. That's to pay for permits, regulations, probably depending on what you're doing. LLC, get all that stuff going. Uh, Company bank accounts and all that. All that stuff costs money. And then if you want to do a large scale business, you got to do payroll, all of that. You're not going to be able to get in position when you're at this level, because you don't have the knowledge of how to do that, how to scale, the knowledge to run an operation. You're just trying to survive. You're just trying to get your head above water when you become an adult. And that's what I'm trying to reach, the people right here in the middle. Because sometimes you just need to take that first step into the green, go to college, pick some kind of vocation or trade, elevate that skill, and now you're off to the races. For some reason, there's this war out there on college degrees, and I think it's just a talking point. But I think that there are some degrees that you have to be careful about what you're getting into, and then there are some degrees that will elevate your skill. I'm also working on that slide as well. Top 5 degrees in Pulaski County, where I'm from. For any kid that wants to hear that, I'm working on that. But that's who I'm trying to target. The kids that's in the middle range. They're not in the streets. They're not athletes. They're gonna be trying to go from minimum to working the job, and they really teetering on college or trade. I'm going to tell you, you have to get some kind of post education, or you will find yourself in this minimum to just working the job range. And I'm telling you that there are programs out there, there are things out there that can give you the information. You just have to do the research and find what works for you because it's all individual based. There's no one broad brush that you can paint, but the thing that everybody can do is elevate your skills and your knowledge base in education. Remember, knowledge, money, power. You can't skip either one of these. In order to get to the money, you got to have the knowledge. If you don't have the knowledge, you're not going to get to the money. And in order to get to the power, you got to have knowledge and money. If you don't have the knowledge, you're not going to know what to do with it. If you don't have the money, you're not going to have the backing behind you in order to walk into the power. Not too many people out there that's broke with power. Just how it works. That's just how the world works. Knowledge, money, power. If you don't want to increase your knowledge, you're not gonna have that much money. It's gonna be very tough. Or you're gonna get jerked around. Happens all the time, more than what people want to talk about. But I'm trying to reach the kids or the adults that's in the middle right here. Minimum, work a job, college or trade. Like, share, and subscribe. Let me know what you think. Happy Thanksgiving. We all have something to be thankful for. Like I heard at church last night, you can choose to be grateful and you can choose to be thankful. It's a choice. I choose to be grateful. I choose to be thankful. It's hard to be grateful and complain at the same time. Very difficult. I don't think you can do both at once. If you're being grateful, you're expressing gratefulness. It's hard to express gratefulness and complain at the same time. I'm pretty sure there's people out there to do it. But I'm saying a mind of gratefulness that you got another day to get it right, another day to work on something, another day to get better. Just having another day to live is grateful. I'm grateful for it. To be able to wiggle my fingers, to be able to see, to be able to walk, talk, and breathe without having to be on a machine is something to be grateful for. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments. I hope I gave a better understanding of the kids and adults that I'm trying to reach. Like I say, there are a lot of people out here with ambition, but they just don't have the guidance or the information. And I hope that I can provide the information to let you know that there are things that you can do. You just have to put in the work, be willing to commit and endure. There are tough times in between the starting line and the finish line, and eventually you will finish the race. This is Mike. I'm signing out. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.
That boy is good. Good and terrible.